really high skilled players, right? The fights can go on forever. The parry trades, the dodges, they seem to just keep going, and there's no really like good way of escaping it until somebody, you know, just gets tired and doesn't want to fight anymore. So we still want to keep that parry mechanic. We think it's really cool, but we want to increase offense. So some of the parry frames, so as you notice, you know, when you parry, you just like, it's like 0.4 seconds of parry frames or something like that. Now, a quarter of those frames, so 0.1 seconds, are block frames. So if you really mistime your parry and mess up, you know, someone can like end up hitting your block instead of hitting the parry. And we think this is gonna lead to hopefully like, you know, more block breaks and require a little more precise timing to get the parry off. It also does make block a bit better of an option because this is a more reliable way of dealing with things. Also, as another change to parrying, we have made a cooldown. So originally, you know, there's no real cooldown on parrying. It's like 0.2 seconds. It's some like very low amount, and you know, it leads to just, I hit you once and then you can parry any follow-up thing and it's fine. So with the changes we made, there is a cooldown on parrying now. This cooldown basically allows you to actually have some combos in your attacks. We want there to actually like be some kind of combos now. So, you know, if you land a hit and your opponent is like messing up their parrying, like you're gonna be able to just kind of keep going on them and you'll be able to knock them back to the floor.
Ignition Union likely has more prominent standing in Layer 2. It's also shown that they are miners that explore the depths. This is likely a point of interest. This church has some importance, possibly. I assume this is an area to explore around, but the architecture does match that of the castle. It's likely this boss room will be located in a castle upon the mountains. I believe this is a new addition to Upper Erysia. This looks to be a waterfall area up in the mountains.
New mechanic, or you know, some people know as an old mechanic called venting. Venting in old Deepwoken was used as a method of parrying spells. We've reintroduced it as a way to break out of combos. So if you notice, if you look at the bottom, there's no more reservoir bar. This has been replaced with a new system called Tempo. Tempo is effectively a system where you are rewarded for being aggressive or engaging. So when I hit you, I gain tempo. When I get hit, I gain a little tempo. Not as much for landing hits, though. The aggressor tends to be the rewarded one. But when you have high tempo, you have higher ether regen. So, you know, just spamming skills or running away, you know, playing the kiting style keep away is a little less viable now because, you know, if you want to have that high ether regen and keep using your skills, you're going to need to engage and fight. However, if you have max tempo, you can activate venting, which will drain all of your tempo away, but it will break you out of any combo. The only trade-off to this ability is if the opponent blocks it or parries it, it should be unreactable, but if they block it or parry it, you will be left in like a state where you are vulnerable. And you see, you knocked me away. And that should have drained all of your tempo. So we have changed how flourishing works. So flourishing used to be this kind of like arbitrary 3 to 4 hits, and then you would be locked into pushing your opponent away. And it kind of just breaks the flow. So we've changed it to be where your last hit, you know, it's the end of your combo and it activates your flourish. So doing that does leave you a little open. It has a bit of end lag, but you know, if you're landing it, it's fine. Just throwing out swings won't be as effective anymore as it used to be, because in old Deep, you know, you could just kind of swing at the air and there was no real end to that. You put up a constant wall of hitboxes. Hopefully now with this change, people will be less inclined to just swing at the air. Obviously they could, you know, swing until they get their flourish, but then, you know, if they get blocked or parried or they whip that, they're going to be open to being attacked. So they'd be betting it all, essentially, on giving their opponent their turn. Changes to base combat, we've added, you saw in the trailer, we added these, which are air dodges. So originally in Old Deep, you know, if you dodged in the air, you would just kind of fumble, and it was just kind of like a worse roll. This is an ability you can obtain which allows you to dash in the air, which in terms of platforming is pretty fun for mobility. But in terms of combat, it should allow players to more easily engage each other from this kind of medium distance. So stand still. So if you're right there, it's pretty easy for me to just, get to you.
Right.
So it should allow for a little more faster pace in terms of combat. We've also taken the aerial attack that you used to be able to do while sliding and jumping. We've made that part of the base combat now because we feel it's basically a necessity and it's a great tool in combat. So you can just jump now and click and you'll do your aerial attack. This can also be used by canceling out of an air dodge. So the same with the roll cancel, you can air dodge cancel. And if you air dodge cancel, you'll be able to do your aerial instantly.
And probably should mention, it will be a part of the base combat, but you'll still have to obtain it.
Preferably what we want to do with these changes is we want to make the combat less tedious at the higher level and also, more engaging for players. Because right now, two high level players, they're just parry trading constantly. And if you're in a team fight, it can be very difficult to quickly deal with someone unless you have some kind of cheesy combo. We want players to feel like, the base combat matters for them and to feel like they can effectively deal with people. Also, we have made one more change, which we think will be a fun addition to combos as well as good in team fights. We have added an uppercut, which you can do by holding control and clicking. There will be a different button you can hit for Mac users. We haven't decided on this yet. Some of these changes are still experimental and we're working on them. But the uppercut effectively allows you to take your opponent up into the air and combo them. If you use an aerial against an uppercut, it will always lose. The uppercut is designed as a way to snipe people out of the air if they're doing that. You can also use an uppercut out of slide. I'm sure, some of our more combat savvy players will find uses for this or tech to do with this. Uppercuts can be used to take opponents up into the air, and this is a good way to isolate them. You can also, use it to send them at a different angle with your flourish because you will pick them down in a diagonal arc instead of just forward. So this could be useful for sending your opponents off cliffs or other scenarios like that. However, Dex, I want you to parry me when you get up there. So if you parry them, both of you will be knocked down. This is just mostly for visual, but we also kind of want to reward the person using an uppercut, because the downside to uppercut is it is very negative on block and parry. If he parries my uppercut, he will be able to hit me for free. Yep, and I can't defend myself until he does that. That about wraps up all of the combat changes. So you see, I mess up my parry, and he actually gets a solid punish now. Whereas before, there would be no punish.
Ooh, that was okay.
You pick that up and keep it going. And yeah, as long as you hit your opponent while you're comboing them in the air, they will stay up there.
You can do cool shit like that.
Exactly. And there will be some mantras that benefit from being in the air more than others. So hopefully there turns into unique combos,
So your small town launches like lightning kick probably benefits off of that aerial a lot, because a lot of people complain about the wind up. Now you can actually do some stuff with it.
Yeah, and that also gives us an opportunity to buff certain mantras to be good in certain scenarios, like uppercuts or like in aerial situations.
This seems to be near Great Hive Aratal. This spot seems to be a farming spot for Meteor Knights. This rifle brings up some questions. It's likely they'll be using concepts for Layer 2. Some of the stuff from old Deepwoken will likely make a comeback. Isle of Crows is a prime example. Guild bases are reintroduced. It holds a canteen area, a blacksmith, some old footage of the old guild bases. A new X is shown in some new armor. It might be possible Archmage might want an obtainable race. Though will races function as payment or various means? It's likely it'll be payment. We're shown an industrialized city. A weapon called the Railblade is introduced. Felt like Akira has some important role for the simulator. The Authority seems to play a huge role in the second layer. Talks thorough about expeditions. Some of the new armors that are being added. A new spear move is shown, likely a dev spec since its name implies it. Once again near Great Hive Airtel. Here's the new rifle stats. Type of shield. This is where most people believe where the new island will be. This is the new luck system being built in. This is tempo being explained and how it'll blend in as a new feature within the game. Legendary cards are getting removed too, while they are being turned into advanced cards and will appear when completing a class of talents or having a high investment in a set of attributes. Traits will be a system to add additional build variety to the game. Luck is being removed entirely, and you'll be able to roll 40 rares compared to the old 15 average rares to be rolled during your progression. Your leveling up will be alternated between 2 sets, with each being focused on other stats. The new level cap will be 20, along with old levels being converged, such as 1, 2, and 3 as level 1 out of 20 levels. The EXP curve has been changed drastically, improved with 4.65 times, with the old base being 1 times. That's a huge change. This is how traits work in action.